now the world is so fucked up. People are filled with hatred and fear and suspicion. People are fighting and murdering one another. People are invading each other's countries. We're still locked into this tribal mentality of the past, and failing to recognize that we're all one human creature, that we're all brothers and sisters, and that if we were to cooperate on every challenge that mankind faces, we would be able to solve all of those challenges, including the torrid meteor stream.
That's facts.
But we're not cooperating. We're filled with division. And I just don't get it, why we're still like this. I love the richness and diversity of human culture, that there are many different cultures, but I do not like nationalism, and I do not like patriotism, and these seem to me to be bankrupt ideas. Why should I be especially loyal to a particular country and government? Because by accident, I was born there. Why should I be proud of my ancestors? They did whatever they did, but I didn't do it. Why should I should only be proud of my own achievements. And why should I seek to divide myself off from other human beings who are just like me? I've been privileged to travel the world for more than 40 years. And everywhere I go in the world, in the remotest desert, the remotest savannah, in the midst of a jungle, in the midst of a city, fundamentally, we human beings are all the same. We have the same hopes, the same fears, the same dreams. We love our children in the same way. We love our partners in the same way. We're filled with the same weaknesses and the same strengths. And what divides us is much less significant than what unites us. So, and I need to be clear when I make this point, because I get attacked so often for being against nationalism. One's supposed to be a nationalist in the world we live in today, and I'm not. But I want to be clear, I'm not in favor of government. I don't want big government. I don't want a world government telling us what to do. I want no government. I'm an anarchist. Anarchist means without government. And that's all it means. I think governments are the source of so many of the problems that we have in the world today. The incredibly bad leadership that we see around the world. Very few leaders I would even want to pass the time of day with. And they are driving us into madness. And it's in their interest to divide human beings from one another. So I would like to see a world where we recognize the beautiful variety of cultural difference, but we don't claim that our culture is superior to another culture, or that culture is inferior to our. We don't make those claims. We recognize the beauty of the diversity, and we give our loyalty to the human family, not to a particular artificial construct called a nation. And I just don't understand why that makes people so angry, but apparently it does.
So you don't think there'll be some chaos without a government, though? I'm just curious.
I think governments are the cause of the chaos.
Okay.
I think human beings left to their own devices, human beings are not chaotic. Hunter-gatherer societies are not chaotic. They don't have governments, but they're mutually supportive, nurturing, loving, positive. They work together on common objectives, and they're very positive human cultures. I think governments are actually the cause of the problem, but then they use the propaganda, they use our money against us to create propaganda, to teach us, to persuade us, to convince us that we can't possibly live without them, that we need these parasites, sitting at the top in government, governing us and being presidents and being prime ministers and being ministers of this or that, telling us what to do. And dividing us. It's in their interests to persuade us that we need them. But I don't think we do need them, and I don't think that governments are a source of stability in the world. I think they're a source of instability in the world. Look what's happening in Ukraine right now, and the whole situation that's going on there. This is a situation that's being manipulated by all kinds of governments to create more chaos and more misery, which then persuades us that we need more government. No, we need less government, little government as possible, minimal government, and I'll take this opportunity to my particular rant, which I rant about at every opportunity, is let's make it a law that nobody can run for high office until they have had at least a dozen very powerful psychedelic journeys. Can be the mushrooms. They're wonderful teachers. Can be ayahuasca. I don't mind what their psychedelic of choice is, but they need to go do a dozen journeys, and they will be confronted with their own baggage, because that's part of the psychedelic experience, that we are forced to face our dark side. We're forced to face our baggage, and we're given the choice. carry on being a piece of shit or actually change your life. And I think that many of those people who are running for world leadership positions, they would back out. If they'd had a dozen ayahuasca or a dozen, heroic journeys with mushrooms, they wouldn't want to be politicians anymore. They'd want to do something more useful in the world. And if by chance they stayed on as politicians, then they would be more educated, gentler, nurturing, kinder people than they are today. Yeah.
I agree.
So what are we looking at there? DMT and human volunteers in London seeing the same entities. This is such an interesting thing. Psychedelics are enjoying a renaissance in our society today. There's no doubt about it. They're enjoying a renaissance. They're demonized substances 20 years ago, but now we know that they have hugely valuable therapeutic outcomes. And that's particularly true for people with post-traumatic stress disorder, for people with deep depression, for people who are fearing death, people who are suffering from terminal cancer and are fearing death. None of the big pharma drugs are any good, but psychedelics, particularly mushrooms, will lift people out of those states, will break PTSD.
I'm pro-mushroom.
I'm pro-mushroom too. The mushrooms are the ancient teachers of mankind. They have been co-evolving with us for millions of years. And they are our allies and our friends. And like good friends, they sometimes give us a thorough kicking, because sometimes we need a thorough kicking. That's what they do. And so it's weird that our society has demonized these substances for the last 60 or 70 years. But now, you can't hold out against the evidence. Now the evidence is that these substances are nurturing and helpful to people, particularly to people who are locked in a narrow frame of mind. But this trial that's taking place at Imperial College in London is something different. They're not looking to see how can DMT be used to cure people from PTSD, although it may well do so. They're looking to see what actually is happening in the DMT experience. What is going on?
How can I sell that? How can I make money from that?
Well, that's not the first case at Imperial College. Rather, the first case is it's a kind of exploration. Is there something real to the DMT journey? The entities that we encounter, the beings that we meet, the teachings that they give us, the strange realm. I mean, Terence McKenna used to call them machine elves, the strange realm in which they operate. Is it just a fantasy of the brain? Or are we looking into some kind of parallel universe, which we normally can't see?
It feels both ways.
Both ways, yeah. The brain is involved, imagination is involved. We construe these experiences through the culture that we live in. But I've talked to a number of the volunteers on this trial that's taking place in London. And what they're telling me is that a new technology is being used. Anybody listening who's smoked DMT will know that DMT is a very short, extremely intense journey. It's about 12 minutes. You are plunged, whether you like it or not. If you get the right dose, if you underdose, you might not go over the edge. But if you get the right dose, you're plunged into a parallel reality.
Oh, wow.
And you're stuck there for the next 12 minutes. And it's so overwhelming and there's so much going on. A lot of people find it terrifying. Some people find it amusing. Some people find it curious. But we don't really remember a lot of it. It's so you come out of the DMT state and you think, what the fuck happened to me? I don't even remember what happened to me. So in Imperial College, they're finding ways to keep people on DMT for an hour. They're giving it as an intravenous drip, and it's going straight into the bloodstream, and that gives them time to adjust, to adapt to this strange landscape. And they're all coming back with the same kinds of descriptions of the same entities in the same environment. And I can't wait to see what the outcome of that will be.